200 years ago. Do you know how long 200 years is? It's older than your parents, okay? Longer than your parents are old. Longer than your grandparents are old, okay? Your great-grandpa died, probably was still a little less than 200 years old, right? Now, this gentleman's name was John Chapman, all right? And John Chapman lived way back there, long time ago. And he kind of walked everywhere he went, and he wore a soup pot for a hat. He had a soup pot, and he put it on his head. And whenever he would be someplace where he could eat, he would take his soup pot and make his meal out of it and eat out of it, and then wash it and put it on and use it again for his hat. Kind of like cowboys use their belt buckles for dinner plates, you know? Kind of the same deal, all right? So this guy's name was John Chapman, and he had kind of an interesting hobby. He took apple trees and apple seeds everywhere he went, and I don't know why, but he planted apple trees all over the Midwest. He was from somewhere in the middle of Indiana, and he traveled around everywhere he went, and he planted apple trees. And he soon came to be known as, some of you parents probably know, Johnny Appleseed, right? Wherever he went, he decided that he was going to plant apple trees. You probably say, well, what in the world has that got to do with going to church? Well, in the 4th chapter of the Gospel of Mark, Jesus tells a story about a man who goes out sowing seed everywhere he goes, and the Bible says some of that seed fell on stony ground and didn't grow. Some of that seed fell among the weeds, and when the weeds grew up, it choked it out. Some of that seed fell on very thin soil, and it grew up quickly, but then when the sun came out, it burnt that plant up because it didn't have the root system that it needed to get water and nutrients. And some of that seed fell on very good soil, and the seed that fell on very good soil produced fruit, a lot of fruit. They would go out with big baskets to carry in the fruit that was grown from the seeds that fell on good soil. So kind of like Johnny Appleseed, God tells you and me that we're supposed to go sow seeds. But the seeds we sow are not plants. It's the message of the gospel, the message of God. And so everywhere we go, we're supposed to be sowing the seeds of the message of God. That Jesus Christ loves us, that we ourselves have sinned and need to be forgiven, that Jesus died on the cross for us so that we could be saved, and that each one of us have to receive him ourselves. That's the message of the gospel. And so I want to challenge you this morning, as you go, wherever you go, make sure you're planting seeds, not just the seeds to kind of grow fruit, but the seed of the message of the gospel, okay? Mrs. Mayberry has a treat for you today, and guess what it is? Apples and caramel. So make sure you get it all.